Winters in Kabul are always heavy and steeped in silence, the kind of silence that drives the biting cold straight into your bones, forcing people to seek refuge beneath thick quilts and around warm sandalies. But for Setareh, this winter was unlike any other in her life. Deep within the cold and darkness of her room, a fire burned that no amount of snow could ever extinguish. Her love for Ahmad, the boy from the house opposite hers. Theirs was a story of stolen glances through fogged-up window panes and veils tightly drawn around faces. In today's Kabul, falling in love is like walking on the edge of a blade. A single misstep, a prolonged gaze, or a whisper among neighbors can stir up a storm capable of turning a girl's entire life to ash. Setareh knew this all too well. Fear walked beside her like a shadow, yet the sheer thrill of seeing Ahmad was more powerful than any dread. Tiny joys in a confined world, Setareh's greatest solace during the day was finding any excuse to step onto the rooftop or approach the window. Whenever Ahmad came out to shake the snow off the courtyard, her heart beat so violently she felt the entire neighborhood could hear it. A stolen smile. The moment Ahmad raised his head, his eyes catching the window, a faint smile would play on the corner of his lips. That was enough to carry Setareh through the entire day. A subtle sign. Sometimes Ahmad would wrap his woolen scarf, the one Setareh had watched him wear countless times, around his neck in a deliberate way, as if to say, "I see you." The sound of footsteps. Setareh could distinguish the sound of Ahmad's footsteps crunching through the narrow snow-covered alleyway, even over the howling wind. These tiny sounds were her only share of the world outside, hardships and high walls. Yet this love was imprisoned behind the towering walls of tradition and restriction. Setareh was not allowed to leave the house alone. Girls' schools were closed, and she spent most of her days indoors. Every time a suitor came to the house, her heart lodged in her throat. She knew that in this city, young women had very little say in their own destiny. Setareh's deepest agony was the not seeing. There were days when she wouldn't catch a single glimpse of Ahmad. Days when heavy cobble snow blocked the alleyways, or when Ahmad went to the bazaar for work and returned late. On those days, heartache would consume her from within. She couldn't even utter his name aloud or share her secret with her closest friend, because even the walls of Kabul had ears, weaving fables in the long winter nights. When night fell and Kabul plunged into pitch-black darkness and power outages, it was time for Setareh's magical world to come alive. She would curl up under the sandali quilt, fix her gaze on the flickering flame of the moshak, a small kerosene lamp, and begin to weave her stories. In her mind, she built a different Kabul, a free and peaceful city where no one flings stones at a boy and a girl walking side by side. Setareh would close her eyes and write fairy tales for her winter nights. Tonight, it's raining. Ahmad drapes his raincoat over my shoulders. We walk through the back alleys of Chandawal, and he buys me piping hot bolani from the shops opposite Pule Surk. He tells me, "Setareh, never fear again. We belong to each other." Night, she would drift to sleep every night wrapped in these tales. In her dreams, Ahmad held her hand. They crossed borders, stood atop Wazir Akbar Khan Hill, and looked down at a city that was no longer too small or too cruel for their love. The next morning, awakened by the call to prayer from the neighborhood mosque and the biting chill seeping through the cracks of the window, Setareh would rise. She would put on her veil, wipe the fog off the glass once more with her hand, and wait, hoping that perhaps Ahmad,